on.
Hi everybody, we're back. I don't know if you saw us before, but we are in the mountains, so our Wi-Fi service is a little sketchy. But we are here on Bloom Chat Live with Lisa, Tremayne, and Meg Santonacita, and Crystal Lake. And we will be talking today about rage. And so we're going to try to get comfortable. All right, let me take off my glasses.
We're focusing.
Okay, rage. This is something that I've seen a lot on Instagram lately and a lot on Facebook, and I think it's one of those PPD, and I know I'm not supposed to say PPD symptoms that people don't talk about, or it's not as well.
I don't think it's as well brought up because it's ugly.
So let's talk about that right now. What is rage? And is rage different than I'm angry at my husband because he didn't pick up stuff from the grocery store?
Yes, definitely. So, I mean, just the word rage gives you the level of intensity of the anger. It's not like, oh, you didn't pick up your socks. It's this kind of talking of how can you not pick up his socks? And you are shocked and very shocked, I guess is the word, about the level of intensity of what you're feeling when you've never felt that way. And you cannot believe the enormity of it. It takes over your body. It's not anger, it's not I feel sad, it's rage. It's the baby won't stop crying, and your hands and your face feel that way, and you feel that way and you don't know if you're safe. Like, am I okay? Am I going to hurt the baby? Like, my hands feel like this, and it's not a symptom. It's again like some of these signs. You know, who are you going to tell that to without thinking they're going to take my baby?
Okay. And Meg, this is something that you experienced?
Absolutely. It was a feeling that I had, that I noticed when I would get angry, and sometimes it was over something that maybe somebody did forget to pick something up, or maybe it was something that I forgot to do myself, or didn't put gas in the car, or whatever, and I would get very angry about it, like I hate this bug right now, unnecessarily so, and I would feel it, I could feel like this white hot feeling over me, and you could feel it bubbling up, and I knew it was getting to the point, and I could feel it coming, and I couldn't really do anything to stop it. I did scare myself, and I think I scared my husband to see this out of me, to see this out of the school teacher that he married, the woman that he knew, to suddenly have this reaction over things that were really, yes, annoying, and we were tired, and we were, adjusting to a new baby, but this was just still beyond what would have been expected, and I don't think it was something that we ever would have said, like, oh, how is it with the new baby? Oh, we're tired, we're this, we're that. Oh, and my wife is a rageful maniac. Like, that never would have come up to his friends, to my friends. It was feeling like a monster, but never telling anybody about it, because you have the fear that, and what will people think, and what will they do? Will they take me away, take my baby away with?
Yeah. Now, is it rage towards, like, you want to act violently? And I know with all these intrusive thoughts, and I think we need to say this again and again, and I know Lisa has mentioned this, just because you're thinking it doesn't mean you're going to ever do anything.
100%. And just because you're thinking it, and actually, I mean, Sam and I say this constantly, and you say it in your group, you're thinking it and uncomfortable is why you're okay, is why you're a good mom. So whether it's an uncomfortable thought of anger, rage, sexual, visual, the fact that you're like is actually why you're okay. So always remember to put it in that context. When you were talking, I thought of something, and my sister, if she's watching, will remember. And again, it's even shameful to say 20 years out. I remember having the three of them. Again, that's not a really good normal circumstance to have rage when you have three 18-month-olds. 18-month-olds are, not
They're
attractive.
tough. Yeah.
And I remember one of the kids, really just would always get my goat. And I hated that. I felt that way. And he just was really good at just pushing the buttons.
And you probably felt like he was doing it on purpose, right?
And I felt ashamed that I felt that way about 1 out of 3 kids. And he was just really good at it. And my sister heard me on the phone one day talking like that, and she drove 30 minutes away and came and got my kids.
Okay, and that leads into the next question. So obviously, if there's rage, that's not something you can hide too well from the people around you. There's a lot of anger there. if they do try to help, like your sister came 30 minutes, which is wonderful, do you want that help, or are you in such a rage you're like, I'm fine, leave me alone?
No, I knew I knew the right thing to do was to let her come in and hang out and take them, be with them, and let me walk away and collect myself. Now, maybe that's an abnormal circumstance. If I had one baby, could I put a baby in a crib? That's what we tell everyone to do. The baby's not going to, be hurt being placed in the crib and you walking away and being like, oh my God, get your shit together. Come on, come on. And sometimes really just that minute of like, whew, you can get it together.
And so what did your husband see, and how did he react?
He saw it, and he did his absolute best to make sure whatever he was doing that was upsetting me, which 99% of my rage was directed at my husband. It wasn't really directed at my baby. I didn't really have those intrusive thoughts that I was, yes, I had intrusive thoughts that things were happening to my baby, but not that I was the one doing a violent act to inflict that. So I was most rage directed at my husband, hurling horrible insults and just so hateful. He's the one who saw it. I was a master at hiding it for everybody else. A few months, I was back at work a couple months later. I held it together. Maybe my mother saw a couple things that maybe would have been like, that's not her, that's not typical, but it was a rough time and everybody excused it, and and I would do my best to hide it from our extended family and my friends, because I didn't know what to say. So he saw it, and I could see that he was just scrambling to, okay, remember to take out the trash, and don't forget anything at the grocery store, and pick up my son, and doing everything to the point that he probably felt like he was the one who was under this attack of me all the time. I'm sure it was a horrible time in our relationship, because I was not well until I started to seek some help. And that was a really hard time that took us, I think we are stronger because we got through it, but it was very, very difficult. And there are things now that I still even feel just so terrible for things that I said, and it took a while to work past that for us.
And this is the thing, and we've talked about this. You get better, you got help, you get better, and then you can, okay, this is what I went through. This was not something I did. This is the illness, but it has these long-lasting effects, not just on the person who suffered through it, but on, you say things to people, and it affects the family unit. And it affects the family unit for years, and could affect the dynamics of a family, relationship with your mother, the relationship with your father.
It's even your perceived relationship. So with the 3 kids, that's not normal, to have 3 kids and feel that way, and I get that. But my perception of my relationship with my babies was so misrepresented, and I literally have said this a million times, I didn't have a partner who was, there as much as they could be, so everything was on me. So how could I not crack, right? So I would tell you to forgive yourself, but I could not forgive myself. And I could not forgive myself, and still can go right where you are, looking at these kids. They are so freaking amazing and great and whole. How did that happen in spite of what I acted like, in spite of what I said and did to them? And I know it's so, you wear it forever.
So how can, and I just thought of this, something that happened with us when you had your babies a long time ago, and I'm going to lead into what can families do, or what can friends do to help. And I remember one time the triplets were little, and you were so good. She was super organized about everything, and I came over to babysit. And she laid out the rules. This is how it has to go. Do you remember this? I just thought of this. This is how it has to go, Shannon. They can't do this. This is where this is. And I'm like, we're going to have fun. We're going to have a good time.
No
Screw the rules. She left, came back. The place was a mess. I tried to clean up. But I remember it upset you so much, and me not knowing what was going on, and I didn't. I was like,
I think you laughed at me.
I did. I was like,
and
they're so great, and that's not what you needed. But I didn't understand
of course.
it, and I thought, oh my gosh, really?
Like,
relax. But, and I probably said, relax. and made it worse for you.
I only remember the feeling of, and I remember this very many times, my friends from my, where I am raising the kids, the four of them, Lauren and Abby and Chris and you guys and Connie and Shannon and Judy, like, would see me and I'd feel I couldn't even control myself around you.
You couldn't smile. You didn't smile a lot. And Lisa is one of the funniest, happiest people you'll ever meet. So there was a definite difference. So again, what do people do? Not say relax, or
No, definitely don't say relax. I think,
and what other words don't you say? And I like this.
Just calm down. You need to go relax.
I felt that way.
You're too
You're so
serious
tired.
about it. Enjoy it. Enjoy
Oh, you're gonna miss
every
this.
minute.
You're
And I
not
was
gonna
like,
miss this.
No, that's not an experience to miss.
No.
I wish I skipped the whole thing of that rageful feeling. I wish I didn't experience that
And I think
part.
people ignorantly, no malice. They have no idea. You had no idea.
don't.
You never said something
They
to me
don't.
like that. And
No.
I was not in a place 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago where you could say, this is a symptom of something bigger. Rage. It's the new PPD is rage. People come to group and are like, I didn't even know this was part of it. I thought it was postpartum depression. And I mean, that's a whole other conversation.
Right, right.
I wasn't sad, I wasn't crying, I wasn't depressed. So 6-9 months in, I'm coming here because I have nowhere else to turn. And you're telling me this is what I felt the whole time? I could have been getting help the whole time. I didn't know rage was a symptom. I didn't know intrusive thoughts were a symptom. I didn't know impatience was a symptom because it says depression.
And this is different than impatience,
Yeah,
annoyance, anger, exhaustion. This is a mental.
Yeah, and I did want to say
illness,
something
right?
what you said. I never, and everything's different. It's all a spectrum, right? My thoughts were only thoughts. There was never any visual with them, and I think that's in a way what saved me. We each have a thing that saved us. Like I was just like, why do I feel this way? I got happy all the time. Well, there's 3 6-month-olds, so probably like Wonder Woman would not be happy all the time. But we expect so much.
So Meg, you mentioned before you would feel it coming.
I could, but I couldn't really do anything because, I could put my baby in the crib and walk away, but I knew as soon as I went back in that room, it was still going to be there. So I couldn't really, go for a walk and leave my baby
Right.
in the house.
Right.
I couldn't do that.
Right.
I couldn't walk away because I was still making the connection that it wasn't my rage. It was he didn't pick up the...
Right.
So I was like, well, if he would only do this, if he would only, and I was
Then
putting
everything
it
would be
on
fine.
every other thing that I couldn't really control. And
Right.
really, I mean, my husband is a wonderful, wonderful man. We call, the unicorn
is.
husband, but he.
Because it wasn't really about him. It was a symptom.
It's not about
It's
him. He just happened to be within the
Bubble.
line of fire of my
rage.
It's whoever I think the closest
The
people
closest
to you
people.
are.
I was just going to say
Okay.
that.
To
Well,
a
that's
lesser
usually how life
degree,
works,
yeah,
right?
right. To a lesser degree, maybe my mom or my sister would have seen hints of it, but it was really my husband who saw the full spectrum of what was happening, and I didn't even tell him everything, but what he saw was.
Oh, it
So
had to work.
someone
That has
is
to be
out
so
there
scary.
experiencing this right now, and they're listening. They're like, "Okay, I'm not a horrible bitch. This is a real thing." If they feel it coming on, what can they do? Is there anything they can do in that moment?
Literally, the only thing I say, first of all, the biggest lesson learned from today should be rage is part of perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. 100%, right up there in the top 3 things.
Okay.
So know that you're okay. This is normal within this illness. So let's get you help.
It's
the
temporary.
number one. Yeah.
It is treatable. Like, you will get better. It's not a symptom of being a bad mom, which is what
Very
I thought
good.
it was, because it wasn't postpartum depression. So therefore,
Very
it must
good.
just be that I'm a bad
I'm a
mom.
bad mom.
Right.
And this, maybe I'm not cut out for this. I had my perfect little life before.
Why did I?
We could go out to dinner before. We could do this. We could do that. And now I'm angry that my life has changed. I love my daughter,
The other thing,
and I love my
says.
son. But I didn't. It just I used to have a very nice control over my day to day, and now I didn't. Every other thing that would upset me put me on a whole other level. There was no just being upset. It was
Yes.
0 to 60.
I used to
for
say
me.
that someone flipped a switch on me.
Mm-hmm.
I would be completely fine, literally completely fine, and then like mayhem with babies, with chaos, with thing, and I could feel it coming up, and I could feel my face getting so angry.
That tenseness.
And I couldn't turn it back.
What I did...
Recognizing rage is perinatal mood anxiety disorders. So come get in touch with one of us to get help.
Right.
Number 2, here comes a truck beeping. I don't know how much you're going to hear.
All right,
Let's let it
I
beep.
think in the moment, though, there are things, if you, hold on, this is important, and you're not going to hear it.
Yeah, no, this is good. I love it. This is why I love Facebook Live.
Recycling here. It's the recycling truck. So, in the moment, if you ever felt that you were unsafe or you were putting your child in an unsafe situation, hand that baby off if you can.
Or put it down if you're home alone.
Yep. In the crib,
Literally,
babies
whether
can be
that
fine in the
baby
crib
is
for a
2
minute.
weeks old or 6 months old, a crib is a safe environment. So if you're home alone, call someone who you trust.
Okay, let me stop you there. Call someone who you trust, which is great. And you guys both said before, why the Bloom Foundation was created, because getting help is so important. But where do you go and get help? And if you're not in a place where there's a support group, a Bloom support group, or another PSI support, whatever support groups there are, do you go to the hospital and say, I have rageful feelings? I mean, that would be scary to me.
Well, in the moment, I used to do this trick that I would go grab an ice cube.
Yes,
Because it would
very
kind of
good.
like,
about
you
that
talk about flipping the switch,
Yeah.
I needed to flip it back for a minute, and
That's
I would
a
be
good
like,
idea.
oh, that's cold, ah! And then I would be like, all right, like, deep breath, that would work for me. And then I would call someone or kind of like a hotline number to get into like your, like to a group. Okay, but I know I'm getting help in 3 days or whatever. I think you can call your OB. And ask about some resources.
And what do you say? I mean, is there safe words that you can say? Because a big problem with PPD and maternal mental illnesses is, what words do I use where I feel safe that someone's not going to come and take my baby? I don't feel like a bad person, but I need to get the help. And we talked about this last week.
I think you just say very vanilla. And especially in learning, if you're watching all these different pieces of it. So if you have an OB who's really listening, if you have a therapist you're already seeing who's really, you feel safe, say, I've been watching and learning about perinatal mood anxiety disorders.
Yes.
I think this is what I have. Everything I'm seeing about symptoms, is there somewhere I can go? Now, a lot of times there won't be anywhere you can go, and that's the sad freaking truth. So you have to find online resources, or you have to, find an OB, go to a breastfeeding group, even because all these things link up. So somewhere, if 1 out of 5 women get it, find 5 women and find the other one.
Okay, so finding online resources, and we're in the process on our website, which is www.foundation.org, of updating the resources that we have vetted, that we know work. We're not there yet. It's a huge undertaking.
We're doing it very responsibly.
But in the meantime, info@thebloomfoundation.org. If you can't find energy to look,
or you're scared
shoot us an email.
to call your person, do info at, and then let us tell us where you are and what's going on, and we
do that a lot. People send us instant messages or make a Facebook or Instagram comment, and we are here for you. Okay, a couple other things I wanted to talk about, and we hit on this, and this is very sensitive subject, so Meg, chime in if you feel like it. The long-term effects, the 20 years down the road effects of not just rage, but I think rage is a big one, because when we are in familial situations, we're here at the lake, this is my family home, you get into an argument with your mother because of nothing else, and it goes on. And I was on a plane last night during my 20-hour flight. That's how long it took me to get here. It should have been 7. And I was talking to a woman, and she was in her 70s, and we were talking about Bloom. She said, I think I had that. She said, but my daughter has a younger child now, a 4-year-old, and she was so angry, and she said some really horrible things, and it has affected us. And my husband doesn't really engage with her as much now, and the mom says, I see now that's what she had, but how do you then fix those fractured relationships? How do you let the family know, the people who are on the receiving end of tough stuff, this is a mental illness.
I think that is actually what you do.
Right.
So I think I've said to many members of my group, there's two factors of this. Like, I worried that I had ruined my kids for their whole lives. And that is something you can't, it's too much.
Right.
So now that they're 19 and 17, I literally show their picture to other moms and say, I didn't know, but my love was greater than my rage. The quality of the love moments I had was greater, thank God, than the bad moments I had. They're great human beings in spite of what I felt. As far as your family, I think you educate them. I think you say, I know now what I had when I was so ugly to you was an illness. And I'm so sorry I said that. And I don't want our relationship to be like that. So please forgive me. And then, you know, I think I've done that. I've had to say that. And I think that anyone, when you come and say, now I know better.
And I think that's something, mental illness in a broader sense, to treat it the same way that you would any other illness.
Yes.
Because if someone didn't make it to this event because they were suffering from, God forbid, cancer or something else, you never be like, you were so lazy then. You're like, I was recovering, I was in the thick of it, I was ill, I was this.
There.
I couldn't be myself. I wasn't myself.
Okay.
I wasn't well.
Yep.
Whether it is neck up, neck down, whatever it is, if you're not well, you would never blame someone for their physical ailment.
And that's why
But
you
it's-
would be able to say, going back, you know, you didn't know then, but I was going through cancer.
Right.
So,
to say
okay.
that
So you
didn't
didn't know, but I was going through an illness called perinatal mood and anxiety disorder. I didn't know either. I'm so sorry if I was not myself, and I don't want that to affect our relationship.
And then
I
the
think
people on the
owning it
receiving end
have to know to
have
say.
to be open to say, not, oh, well, you're making excuses, or well, you should have said that. Say, okay, and then
I
maybe
shouldn't
give
have.
them more information.
Right.
Say, go to this website, understand
Yeah.
this.
I
you
think
know?
this would be nice for us, and if the lady on the plane is listening, for us to be able to have women of another generation, dare I say, we're in our 50s, but people 50, 60, 70 who now know. I've talked to many women too who say, you made me feel better at 68.
Yes, yes.
Because I didn't know that's what I had. That wasn't me, it was an illness. Yes, they feel better now. So I would love to hear from people like that and put a Bloom chat together with women of that age and generation.
Yeah.
Realizing now, looking back, they did have this, and I'm sure
And then
it
they
wasn't
can
talked
help
about.
their daughters.
And they can
help-
forgive themselves, no matter
Right.
what age they are. They're carrying it.
Yeah.
I mean, in life we all make horrible mistakes, wonderful mistakes, but this is something you can say,
Yep.
okay, I'm really sorry.
Yep.
And
I'm really glad we talked about this. It's a lot. We hear about it a lot, and you can
and
say
it's
how
kind
it still
of hard
hurts.
though.
It does. It is hard.
Apologizing for something you had no control over.
Right. Because when you're in it, you're not going to apologize because you don't own it. So it's only how many years or lessons out. But you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do
You
it.
can do it for other things too.
Yeah.
So I do have a question, and maybe this is a little sensitive. Does this happen, this rage, does it manifest itself into violence?
Actually, I don't think so. I think that, and I'm looking at Sam because she's doing the filming. I
Yeah.
don't hear it in my group. I hear it as a personal symptom, as a very myopic feeling, and they're so aware, they are so aware of it, but nothing that has come of it.
Okay.
Do you?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. And is it an intrusive thought or not? Symptom. Okay. All right. Good. Well, I think we kind of covered what we need to cover on rage.
And we were not able to comment because we're doing this
Here.
like this. But please comment if you experienced it. Validate other women who are feeling this. I think this symptom seriously is number 2 on our list. I think that it is so much more pervasive than we think, and I think that anyone who can say something or they've experienced or they know will set someone else free.
I hope you are, obviously. If you're listening to me, you are. We are here every week, Monday Standard Time at 12 o'clock. If you have suggestions, if there's something that we haven't hit, and obviously there's a lot to hit, but you really want us to talk about, please write in the comments. And if you are suffering right now, go to our website, www.bloomfoundation.org. We are actively, constantly doing whatever we can to provide more resources, to provide more groups, places for you to go. And if you do see someone who is struggling and don't know what to say, just send them the link. sometimes, you know, that's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. And asking a mom by text is so much less invasive than in person. So
And
that's a
not
good thing.
and we I don't know if you guys talked about this. Not saying how are you doing, because the response will be I'm fine. What do you say? And I know we're going to end, and I just thought of that. I'm like, what do you say to someone who you think may be struggling? Because how are you is going to become I'm good.
And if someone asked me twice, I probably would have just like puddled.
Okay.
And then if they say, how are you? And I'm like, oh.
I used to have this
And
thing
I would have
where-
said like,
I know.
I
I think if or postpartum resource New York that says look at her, like when you're saying how you doing, you're not looking at her, you're making your shopping list. Like look at her
Really
and
look.
really be like, how are you doing?
This
Okay,
is-
if I'm
this
looking
is
at
hard.
Meg's eyes, they're welling up. She's not okay. Or I used to have this thing where people couldn't hug me because then I would fall apart. So people would come in like Lisa, I'm like. Boom. Like I had to stay solid soldier. I could not have an emotion because I was so overwhelmed with them all. So
And
I think
the
if you
emotions
just
are
look,
okay. I mean, that's what you want, right?
right, but it's
to
the idea of
normalize
meeting
them.
that fear of falling apart.
Yep.
At work with a
Right.
random woman in the grocery store, you know, those types of situations, you do have that fear that because you need to
will.
hold it together, because you have to hold this whole family together, and you don't want to let everybody else see like what's going on behind closed doors. But for me, asking, how are you, and even if you can acknowledge, like, really, how are you doing? Because this is so hard.
That's what we say a lot.
I mean,
Right.
personally, I
So
had a
you're
hard
giving them a
experience.
lead in.
Right, you're
This
saying
is
it's
so
okay.
A
hard.
little permission to say, like, because I had a really hard time, and if you didn't experience, that's fine. Say, I know a friend of mine, she had a really hard time, or my sister had a really hard time, and like I know this can be hard. How are you?
And it's just like, I mean, we always kid around and say this, but like, be a kind human being. If you see a pregnant or a new mom, come on, you know that she's
right,
faking
but if she's
it.
a stranger,
I
mean, I know Lisa will go.
I
to
will go up to
strangers.
anybody, and I can see it in their eyes. Like literally, I can see her in Target, wearing a baby, doing a toddler, and I just go up, and I'm just like, it's so hard. It's so much harder than you thought it would be, and she loses it. And then because she's in my town, I can freaking find her help. But we really can get you help anywhere in the USA and Canada, because Sarah Beckel's out there. We can get you help there too. So please, don't be alone. Just
Yeah,
reach
you're
out.
not alone. You're not. There are many avenues. It's just that first
I think
step.
this is just really good. Rage and sexually intrusive thoughts in 2 weeks. I think we're covering it. I think it's going really good.
Well, and I believe this is where I'm going to say it, because if you say it, it makes it happen. Next week, we're going to be talking to, men, husbands,
Yes.
and
Any
partners,
any family members. I think.
we're going to have a couple. We won't be here. Wouldn't that be nice? But we're going to be talking to husbands about what they saw and how they
Yes.
experienced their spouse, their wife, their partners.
Yes. That's gonna be good.
Postpartum anxiety. And if there are any husbands out there who
just
want to get involved and say, I want to talk about this. This is what I saw. This is how I felt. Shoot us a comment.
Yep.
All right, guys. I think we've talked enough, and we're going to go swim now. Bye.
Bye.